Good morning everybody, welcome to today's show. Lots of little stuff today all over the place, so we're going to be from one end of the shop to the other. So we're going to be playing with various things on the box. This will be our last week for this cabinet. We're going to take a rest. Pammy wants a new bedside cabinet, so that's going to be our next project. We'll get that started, and it's going to take me a little bit to organise the plan. She has specific instructions, and so I have to follow those, as you do. But anyway, we're going to do that. A little bedside cabinet with dovetails and various other things. So I'll let you know as we get closer to the time how it's going to look, and we have to do some planning for that as well. So anyhow, back to here. So today, what we're going to do today, I'm going to get a finish on this. I want to do a little door pull like this one here, so we're going to make one of those. A couple of little things before we do that though, just in preparation for the door pull. I'll have to show that first of all. We're going to drill and put a couple of magnets in it. As you can see, this one here has magnets at the top and the bottom, so two different magnets, so we're going to do that as well on this one. So they're the things that we're going to do. But before we start, so let's get rid of all of this stuff here. Just put it over here, don't want to drop that, and I'll break the glasses. Now during the week, I spoke to Derek.lark. Good morning, Derek. And we had a discussion about the little radius jig. So questions came up about that during the week. So I spoke to him about various different models and different ways of doing things. And he assured me that he has the capacity to make the radius jig in any size that you like. So he did that for me. He made it in 5mm increments. So if I want to do radiuses on parts of a project, I can vary the size depending on how big the project is. And so this is what he's come up with, and this is what he's done. And you can purchase these. Get onto Derek, and he's on there this morning. So Derek, if you want to put your email address up, that'll be good. You can purchase a set. Now this is the original one that he sent me when he first came up with the plan for these, and this fits onto my a sanding bench, my disc sanding bench. And it's just a matter of putting a piece of timber in there and running around here. Now that's 11mm radius, that one. It's perfect for the small boxes that we make, the things like the desktop box, the secrets box and the pencil box, and for a number of other little smaller boxes. 11mm is perfect because it's the same, almost the same diameter as our rebate cutter, which is this size here. Now that's 22.7mm diameter, which gives it about 11mm radius. So that's what this one here is made for. So what I asked him to do was to get me some various sizes. So if you look at these, you can see, I think you can see them. This one's quite small. This is a 5mm radius, this one here.
I need that to show.
Okay, so that's a 5mm radius. And as you can see, they're a little bit bigger too, so that makes them really good because you get a bit more support for your timber. So they're really good for that. So that's the 5mm. There's a 10mm. You can see the difference. There's quite a difference in it. And then these are just 5mm variations, and Derek will do them any size you like. All you need to do is get onto his email address, onto his email, and you can see it's up on the screen now. So there's a 15mm radius, and for the bigger ones we've got a 20mm radius. Now I've noticed that Derek has positioned the hole in a different spot in all of them, which is a really good thing because it's just a matter of using the same platform, drilling a series of holes to get to position those where you need them. So because you need it right up against there, and you'll just turn it like so. And if you've got a hole there, you don't want the hole in the same place for the second one, so you move it a bit further out, and you can do that with all of them because they're all a little bit further apart, which is a really good idea. So if you need a radius jig, by all means jump onto Derek's site, and he will accommodate you. Okay, so that's my little bit of advertising for today. So now what we want to do is we want to get on to all the other bits and pieces that we were talking about earlier. This is what the door pull looks like. It's a cute little thing. And when you look at the one here, I originally made that one out of walnut to go on here, but it's too big. It just looks way too big, so I had to make a smaller one. Now the beauty about this is I've got the Coffs Golf Club logo embedded into the front of it, which actually nominates it for the golf club. And in my little box of tricks here, I have a couple of little logos that I'm going to recess one of them into one today. But first of all, I have to make the piece of timber. Now the box we're doing, I'll take these out of here so that I don't drop them. The box we're making has the door fitted like so, and my quandary was, do I make a rose mahogany one, which is what the front door panel is, or do I complement it with a piece of material that's on the side panel, which is the silky oak? And I thought, well, why not just do the complementary one, which on here's. So I dug around in my pile of timber and I could not find a piece of silky oak that was big enough to take my little button and turn and make a nice door pull. So this is how I got around it. So over to the drop saw. I'm going to bring this with me because this is going to come with me all the time. This is how I got around it. Got myself a piece of 10mm silky oak, set it at 20mm, so I've got a mark at 20mm, and I'll cut myself a piece off here. Pretty simple. Lock that somewhere in half. Now it's not critical because we're only making a small piece, but we want enough length in the piece of material so that when we put it on the lathe, we've got something to grab hold of. Two pieces. Oh, look at that. Couldn't get that any better. Now, super glue. I might glue those two parts together. This is so quick. So put plenty of super glue on. Now make sure you give it a rub like that. That squeezes all the air out. Put it together. Squeeze it up. Now as you can see, I haven't really bothered about trying to be really accurate with it because we're not going to use the whole lot. On the other side. Okay, so I just sit that like that for 10 minutes and that will be dry enough to turn. And I might have a little play with that in a second. So now, while that's drying, we're going to drill the holes for the magnets. Grab that. Okay. So, what you can see here is I've marked where the magnets are going to go. So I have a little cross here, I've got one on the other end of the box, and my little magnets I'm going to drill that into there. Now remember last week, a couple of weeks ago, I said to you I bought a packet of these magnets, and it says on them that they are 8mm in diameter. And when I measured them, they were 5/16, not 8mm. So there is a difference. Now I went and bought a second packet. Excuse me. And I found that the second packet are different size. So the second packet are actually 8mm. So it pays to have a little think about or check your measure before you actually start things. So these ones are actually 6mm, and there's two on the bottom there that are actually 5/16, so they're a different size. So who knows what you get in the packets nowadays. Anyway, so all I'm going to do now is I'm going to drill myself a hole down in through here. And what I want to do is I want to make sure I only go in 3mm. So what I've done is I've set my vernier calipers I've set the end of my vernier caliper to 3mm. So if you turn that on, you can see 2.98 is adequate. But if you want to make it exact, it's just a matter of fiddling with it a little bit and then get it right. So that will give me a depth that I need. Now I set that at 3mm because these are only 3mm, so they're quite small. I want it flush with the top. So we'll drill a hole and we'll check. And I'll just do this very slowly, go very carefully. And you'll notice that I'm drilling into the box first. Make sure the box is sitting flat. And there's a reason for doing that. Check my height a little bit more. A bit more. And notice I'm going very slowly, very carefully. I don't want to go over too deep. It won't matter if you do go a tiny little bit too deep, but overdo it. Okay, other end. Exactly the same. I could put a stop on the drill. Yep. But I sometimes find this old drill isn't very accurate, so I need to do it by hand. Okay, so I have the two holes. Let's go over to the bench. Now before you actually glue these in place, sand the marks off, because as soon as you put some super glue on there, that embeds those marks in and they stay there forever. So here, just sand all your pencil marks off. Pencil marks shouldn't be that heavy anyway. And by sanding it, you're actually squaring up the top edge of the hole. Now we get a couple of these. A little bit of super glue. And I can hear your brains going, are you checking for polarity? Bit of rag. We'll do that when we fit the door.
So Cole, there's a question about why do you put magnets on both sides as opposed to, say, a washer on one side, on the opposing side?
Just the way I do things. I like to have the magnets actually stronger because we've got glasses in there. I could put a little washer there. The washer doesn't look as nice as the magnet anyway. But who was asking that?
DS.
DS. That is a way of doing it, but the other reason I do it this way is if I want to hide the magnet and still have it working nicely, what I can do is I can drill the hole deeper and then I put a piece of timber over the top of it so that it doesn't actually show the magnet. But if you open a cupboard, you'll always see a catch of some description. I like to use two magnets because it's a stronger catch rather than a single magnet on a piece of metal.
Especially when you're picking up the cabinet, you can pick up this little cabinet and move it around.
Yeah.
You don't want the door swinging open on you accidentally.
Exactly.
When you're moving the glasses, when you're moving the cabinet.
That's a good point, Pammy. And the thing about it is, remember, you've got glasses in it, not any other object that won't break. Because if the door swings open and the glass comes out,
that's it. Game
you've
over.
probably lost something. So that's what that looks like. Now, the door is exactly the same. When you set the door up, make sure that you draw your markings, you can see here, exactly the same as here, right?
You have to get it nice and
I
close.
don't know if you can see those pencil marks. I've put them on very lightly because I want to be able to get rid of them. Okay, so that looks quite nice there. So I'll drill those holes. Add it to my drill. Don't forget when you're doing this, make sure that you actually do a test drill before you do it. As I said before, the magnets might not be the right size. Okay. Now, the door. Again, same procedure. Sand off your pencil marks. You don't want them glued in place. Just might check that depth on that one. That's good.
So, Cole,
That's good as well.
that being careful with the depth does raise the question, if you did happen to go too deep, would you cut a little round, tiny flat disc and pack it?
Yes, that's what I said earlier. As I said, if you go too deep, you can just make yourself a little piece of material to go over the top of it, and that would hide the magnet anyway and make it look a little bit more uniform right through the whole front of each of the box. So that's a technique that you can use.
But if you didn't, if you wanted the magnet, maybe it's a very weak magnet, and you'd put the disc, you'd put the packing on the bottom.
That's correct. You'd put packing underneath it. So there's ways around those sorts of things. So leave it open mind when you come to doing these, so that you do have options, and you can change your option as you go. So I've got a good fit to these, and I need 2 more magnets. Now we talk about the polarity of these. If you hold 2 magnets together the wrong way, they actually push each other apart, and you can see if I'm trying to, I cannot actually get those to stick. As you can see, they want to stick in one particular way. So when you're gluing these, stick it on there.
Yeah.
That's the way it's going to be.
Yeah.
And you can see that they're actually quite strong, these little magnets. So now they're in place and they're going to go together. So, here's my super glue. What did I do with it? I got it. It's alright, stop looking. A little bit of super glue in here. And my door is going to fit like this. And okay, slide that off there.
Clever.
There are my magnets in the right place, and they're polarised around the right way. So they're going to fit quite nicely. So that will, I'm not going to put it together at the moment. I'll wait for the super glue to set. Now I just want to go back to this cabinet here. If I had just a little piece of a washer there, or a washer on here and here, I don't know that it would look quite as nice. It's just a flat piece of steel there, and you can see that once it gets to a certain stage, it actually wants to close itself. So it closes quite nicely, and it's not that hard to pull it apart. So magnets, you can make a decision as to whether you want to put a washer in it or another piece of metal, but I prefer to have the magnets in place. So they're flush. Now my next task is to get some finish on this. Now I want to put the finish on this before I go over to the lathe and turn the handle, because I want to let it settle. I want to let it sit for a little while, because we're going to go through a number of different processes with the finishing. Now the finish that we're going to use is CONSTANTIA Chinese wood oil. That's going to be the last finish that we put on top of it. But before we get there, we're going to give it a really good scrub with some Chinese wood oil and a little bit of pumice. Okay. Now CONSTANTIA sell this, and you can get onto Constantia. There is a link on our website.
Just down below.
Just down below, so if you head down below. Now, what we have, for those of you who want to purchase, and I spoke to Summer the other day, or she sent me an email, to say that if you purchase $50 or more, you'll get a free sample of a pot. You'll also get a 5% discount. Okay, so $50 or more of the thing. These are the numbers that you need, right? So if you contact Summer on the phone number that's there, she's happy to chat to you about it, and you will get a discount. Okay.
Yeah.
So
I think Summer's actually extended the discount period to accommodate people who may not know about it. So
to 2024, I think she said.
Oh goodness.
So
That's
January
very generous.
2024, the discount period goes to. So you've got a bit of time up your sleeve. That's all of this year. So have a chat to Summer. She can set you right. They have a number of different products, but if you buy more than $50 worth, you'll get a 5% discount and a free sample pot of something else. So by all means, jump online and have a chat with Summer. She's very accommodating when it comes to giving you information.
It's actually a very generous offer, isn't it? Because it means that you can dip into that discount for a number of different products once you've tried them.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Good idea, Pammy. And I think Summer was alluded to that. Okay. Now, this is what we want to do. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I've got a little piece of sawdust stuck right in one of the corners there. I've got to get it out because I don't want to seal it in. Right in the corner there's a bit of sawdust stuck in the corner. Now what I've done is I've already put a coat of finish on the inside of the box, but I gave it a bit of a sand because I wasn't happy with the way I sanded it initially. And so I put another coat of finish on it. Oh, I gave it another sand, so I'm going to put another coat of finish on. Just got a couple of little bits and pieces in there that don't look nice. Now I'm going to put a coat of finish on the whole box right now, including the door.
These are all the fiddly bits, aren't they?
Yeah,
to finish off your box.
Yeah.
Or your item.
And don't forget, keep all this stuff in mind that you're doing this, because you've got to record it all. And we're going to go through that a little bit. Hopefully by the end of the program we'll get something done with that. If not, I'll get it all done and then I'll bring it back later on. We don't want the pumice just yet. What I want to do is I want to put a coat of finish on the whole job. Now, what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to put a coat of finish on the bottom, because I want to put a piece of green baize on there and it won't stick to the finish. So,
does this mean you're going to have to be neat?
I have to be neat, yes.
Ooh.
Ooh. Okay, so, and this is the way, this is the method that I use to use the Constantia. All I'm going to do is just brush it on. There are a number of different ways, and if you're not happy with the way that I'm using it right now, by all means have a chat to Summer, and she will give you the rundown on what to do. All I've done is decanted a little bit into a jar, and as you can see, I'm putting plenty on. I'm not mucking around with it. I want it to go in. I want the timber to soak it up.
Gosh, that shelf looks so pretty. That's better.
Even do underneath the hinges. How nice does that look on the inside now? I've got plenty on there, so I've soaked it in. Now remember, this has already got one coat on it, so it won't soak it up as much as the outside. Look how nice that looks. I'll just work my way around with that. You can see the dovetails start to show up now. They're starting to look like you can see them a lot more clearly. You know what I should have done, Pammy?
No.
Put a pair of gloves on.
Oh, never mind. That means you really do have to be neat now.
Yep. I haven't got too much on my fingers, so I think I might put them on before I put the last bit on. I want to show you the back how it comes up. What's Dave Stanton's secret? Don't blow in it, as people do. Just slide them straight on. Incidentally, Dave's doing his blanket box. He's got a little secret he's going to show you today. I'm not going to tell you what it is either. I'll let him do that. What about we put it on the right way? This way. Gosh, no wonder I failed finger painting at school. Watch this. Now, I've engraved the back of it. I've got Colhosey. I've made it in 2023. It's made from rose mahogany and silky oak. They're the two timbers. Look what happens when you put a finish on it.
Just hold it still for a minute so I can get the right light. Yeah, because it soaks in a little good better. That beautiful colour.
Rose mahogany, you can see the lovely grain in the rose mahogany, and you can see the variation in colours between the silky oak and the rose mahogany. And if you haven't sanded things properly, or you haven't prepared things properly, any error that that occurs is going to show up. So you want things nice and neat all the way around it. Okay, so let's just sit that there, and as you can see, there's lots of finish on it. Now my door, I can do the whole door, and you can see that I've also got a coat of I've got tape on the perspex. I don't want to get too much finish on the tape on the perspex. Not that it's hard to get off, but it's a bit of a pain getting it off. That's the problem.
You have to be careful on that one.
Yeah, just shift that back out of the way. So you can see the colour is really nice, and be very careful about how you go here. Look at that, Jason. Hope you saw that. Practice from many years gone by. Using a lining brush. There you go again, look at that. One stroke with a lining brush.
Yeah, now you're showing off.
I was only talking to Jason Skinner the other day, he's an ex-sign writer, and we were talking about using a lining brush to run lines in around wheels and as such.
Pity it doesn't work on skirting boards.
Oh, now
I'm getting picky.
Now I'm up. Okay, so that's one side, and you can see now the end grain of the joint actually sits up. So that sits up quite nice. Can you see that in the light?
The contrast.
The contrast, yes. Yeah. It looks quite a nice little setup. Okay, let's do the front. Just take it easy doing this.
Michael House asked, Cole, is the finish quite hard when it dries?
Yeah, what happens, Michael, when it comes to the finish is it will soak in. It's not one of those finishes that has a heap of dryers in it, so it's not going to set like concrete. It's going to allow your timber to actually breathe a little. It's also food safe, so you can use it on all sorts of different things. But as it soaks in, it will set a little bit in the timber pores. And we're going to polish it up anyway, so it's not the only part of the process that we do. Once I've turned the little door pull, I'm going to show you what I do with the finish. So any little mark that occurs on your piece of timber is going to show up, and I've got two marks, one here and one here, that have shown up on the front of the door. Now I don't know what they're from, but probably from something that was happened in the past. They're both straight, so I have no idea what they are. They just occurred. So everything's wet. I can leave that sit there. Ooh. Like so. And while that's setting, let's go over to the lathe. Okay, I need to bring that. I need to bring that. And we'll go over to the lathe.
Oh, come on.
Okay, so from this was the piece of timber that I made, and I made one up here, and as you can see, when you turn it, there's my join right there, but by the time we finish, you're not going to see that because the grain itself will hide it all. Okay, so all I've done is I've turned a cylinder. So that was that, that was that, and we turned a cylinder out of it. Okay, so now what I need to do is I need to do a little recess in the bottom of there to fit this in here. Okay, so I'm going to fit that into the end of there. Get that?
Yeah.
Okay. So, turning. So I'm just going to face that off across there to start with. Down a little bit. So I just want to face it off, and so I've got a smooth surface across there. So here we go. so that's given us nice clean face to work with. What I want to do now, I've set a pair of calipers, this pair of calipers, to the diameter of my little button. Right, so I just want to mark where that's going to go in the centre. So it's given me a mark where the centre is. I just need to turn that out now. I'm going to have to shift the camera for me because I can't work in there.
Yeah, it's a good shot too.
Trying to get that button out of the bottom of it. What I'm doing is using the back end of the chisel. You can see a very small chisel. I'm just using the bottom edge as a little bit of a scraper, and I'm just scraping that through the bottom. Push it in a little bit and then I just scrape out. Let's see if the button fits. Okay, so it's not quite deep enough, so I've got to go a little bit more.
Can you just hold that in position so I can show everyone what you're actually doing?
Okay, so that's going to be recessed. Pretty hard to see because we've got big pudgy
it's
fingers.
so tiny, yeah.
And it's tiny, so that's going to go into there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they get the idea.
Got to go a bit deeper. It's exactly worked, this little one. I've got a huge lathe here, but you can do it on a smaller lathe if you have one, or still go a little bit more deep. Not quite there yet. A little bit more deep, that's good English. How about just a little deeper? Okay,
You there?
so not quite there yet, nearly there. You can see this just sticks out a tiny little bit. So a little bit more, and then we can glue it in place. See what we've got now. Okay. Still not quite there. A little bit more.
Would you go to sand?
No, it's sticking out. it's a little testing. Still not happy with it. Still got a little lip on it that I can't get rid of, so I have to go a bit more. Now I have it. As you can see, that sits in there really nicely.
Alright,
Get up close with that. You can see that sits in there quite nicely. So now it's just a matter of gluing it in. Now I could glue it in while it's sitting there, but it's not going to sit in place very well. So I'm not going to take it out of it. That's good. I've dropped it.
We'll find
I found it. I need it because I've got to glue it in. So all I'm going to do is, dropping everything today, I'm going to leave that piece of material in the chuck. Super glue.
Here's the point. What happens if you don't, you've glued that in there, but you make a mistake with the shape or size of the pull?
Make another one.
Yeah, but how will it? You might run out of...
Yeah, we could do. The beauty of this is that I've turned the cap off a golf tee. And while that's drying, I'll show you that. And so that's the piece I have off a golf tee.
Hold it still, please.
So all I did was turn the shaft off the golf tee and recessed it into a piece of timber. So you can make it up as you go along, which is what exactly what I've done. So now that that's dry, I can now turn the pull. Okay. Quite a large door, so I can make the door pull a little bigger than the other small one that I made. The diameter of my plug needs to be 6mm. So as you can see, I'm getting close. I've got my calipers already set at 6. And you can see what I've done here is I've made the plug longer than I need, and that allows me to actually get the right diameter, because I'm only going to get one go at this. I'm getting the diameter away from where the plug is actually going to be, so not quite there, a little bit more. So if you don't spend a lot of time on the lathe, it's always a good idea to do the perfect size. So now I need to make the whole plug that size. I'm not going to do that just straight away because I want to tidy up the rest of the door pull. But I'm only going to use sandpaper to do that. It's not there's no need to spend a lot of time with the chisels. That's just a piece of 180 that I've got in my hand. Got a little bit of a curve on it, just to make it comfortable in the fingers when you pull the door open. Doesn't have to be perfectly straight. You can make these any shape you like. Check to see what I've got. Don't have any marks on it or anything like that. There's a little one there. And that's looking pretty nice. Okay, so now I'm going to turn that spigot down to 6mm and then part it off. Actually, what I might do is I might give it a light sand with some finer grade paper. And I'm just going to do a little bit at a time. Check it with my calipers, just a tiny bit more. Actually, I might leave that little extra on there, that makes it a nice little tight plug when I cut it off. So I just want to give it a light sand with a bit lighter sandpaper. This is a little piece of 400 that I've got here now. Shift things out of the way so I don't get the fingers caught in the machinery. Pretty. Just give it a test. Nice pretty little door pull. Okay, parting off. Now when I part this off, I could use the parting tool that I use to adjust it to the size, but it's actually not sharp enough. What I've done is I've just focus on this pen. What I've done is I've used a hacksaw blade out of a power hacksaw, filed all the teeth off it, and then sharpened the end of it, and it's become a very good parting tool. So it gives me a really short plug. I don't want a long one. And there it is. There's my little door pull. So, what a cute little pull. Okay, so back to our door. I can actually fit that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to wipe a bit of finish. Oh, I've knocked the glass over. I'm going to wipe some of the finish off the door. You can see how nice that's come up just with that, just by putting the oil on there for a start. You can see that it's quite nice. Now door support's got to go on this side here. So where do I put it? I don't want it in the centre of the door. Just a little bit above the door. Oh, it keeps falling over. So it's going to sit probably about there somewhere. Alright? So let's mark a centre. Pencil, ruler. Gosh, it's 10 o'clock and we've run out of time. And I wanted to talk to you a bit longer about other things, but we might have to come back next Sunday.
Yep.
Okay, so let's get this fitted. And
well, that was the point. Graham Bell wanted to know, weren't you going to use the pumice?
Yes, that's what I mean. They were the things I was going to talk to you about, Graham.
And then there was the hinging.
And then there was hinging. So I think we're going to have to come back next Sunday. Let me fit this and then we'll see how far we are. Okay, so.
And the other thing, Cole, while we're talking about Graham, is last week he mentioned that he'd had a problem with wax over Chinese oil. And so Summer actually told him how to actually, and it was really sticky and
right, okay.
Yeah. Anyway, he's spoken to Summer and she's recommended to remove Chinese wood oil and wax finish. Use mineral terps and fine steel wool. Then sand and reapply. So, yeah,
well,
there's always a solution.
That's a very good solution. I probably would have done that myself.
It's good to have an easy solution, isn't it?
Yeah, I probably would have used Scotch-Brite rather than steel wool.
Something very fine.
Something very, very fine. Test fit. That looks pretty nice. And a little bit of super glue. I've used super glue all glues today. Now I've lost that.
It's over there.
So over there. to go up that way. And there you have it. And there's the door pull in place. So that will fit. Like so. So that's looking pretty nice. So what I will do, because we've run out of time, it's 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, because we've run out of time, we'll be back next week. I was going to take next week off, but we'll be back next week, and what we'll do is we'll do the final finishing of that, and we'll discuss the process of getting the information together, because I have some really exciting stuff to show you that John Lafferty actually came up with. So I want to show you that to show you what we can do when we get it together. So that will be it for the week, for today I should say, and we will catch up to you next week. So have a good week everybody, and hopefully I'll have all sorted. I want to go through the finishing process again and do that, but like I say, we've run out of time, and I'm sure that there's other things you need to do for on Sunday. So have a good week everybody, and I will see you all next week.